We'll just get started with our yoga. Go over to your mats. We can start today in a seat. If for some reason sitting cross-legged like this is not comfortable for you, you can find a different way to rest your legs, or you can even feel free to lay down for our beginning breathing exercise if that's what is feeling right for you today. So if you're sitting, take a moment to get comfortable here, rocking side to side, getting the last of your wiggles out, and finding a nice place to rest your hands. And then lifting up on the spine, push the shoulders down the back and relax back into your seat just a little bit. And then you can either close your eyes or maybe just lower the gaze down to the ground a few inches in front of you, just relaxing your gaze. And turn your focus inward, starting to pay attention to the breath here. Noticing any sensations associated with your breath. Maybe feeling coolness on the inside of your nose and throat. Maybe feeling different parts of the body moving gently as you breathe in and out. Perhaps you feel your shoulders rising and falling with the breath. Maybe feeling your rib cage gently moving in and out. See if you can send your awareness all the way down into your belly. Just notice any movement that happens in the belly as you breathe. Start to listen to your breath as well. And there's a particular breathing exercise called the Ujjayi breath, which means victorious. And this refers to the victory over the incessant chatter of the mind. The default setting of our brain is to just constantly be filled with thoughts. And this is how humans have come so far. We think about the past, we think about the future, we think about what we want for dinner and if our car needs to be fixed, what the weather is outside, how our pets are doing. We think about our loved ones, all these things, but sometimes it's nice to just get a break from all of that chatter and tune in to your breath. So that's where the Ujjayi breath, the victorious breath, comes in. The victorious breath is a really nice, loud breath, usually done with the lips sealed, although if your nose is really stuffy and you can't breathe in and out of your nose today, of course, breathe in and out of your mouth. So if it's available to you, you can seal your lips and start to breathe in and out of the nose. And then move your awareness into your throat. And to make the nice loud sound of the breath in the Ujjayi breath, we constrict our throat just a little bit. It's almost like you're fogging up a mirror with your lips sealed, making a ha sort of a sound with the lips closed. Little constriction of the throat. And this just raises that sound just a little bit inside of your head. And then start to picture that sound of your breath filling up your whole mind. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, imagine your breath pushing out every last thought, clearing all of the rest of the thoughts from your mind, and blowing it away like a big gust of wind, so that all that's left in your mind just for right now is the sound of the breath in and out. The default setting of our brain is very insistent. So even if we can clear our minds for a little bit, those thoughts tend to want to come back in, start sneaking their way back in. So you can imagine that every single breath, every time you exhale, is another gust of wind clearing out those thoughts. And if they come back, that's okay. Just say hello to them. And with the next exhale, let them flow away out of your mind. We can always come back to those thoughts if they're important after our yoga practice. Sometimes when you clear your mind like that, you can look at your thoughts, issues, problems, any things that you really have been thinking about deeply with a new perspective. Let's just take this next hour to keep clearing our minds of all thoughts but the breath. And now let's start to lengthen and deepen our breath. So each inhale, each exhale is a little bit longer than the previous one. Really stretching out the breath. Nice deep full breaths help our bodies to calm down and relax. And see if you can come to a place where with each breath in, you're filling up your lungs all the way. And with each breath out, emptying out completely. You can even take some time to notice those gentle pauses at the top of the inhale, at the bottom of each exhale, really getting to know your breath, all the ins and outs, all the different textures, the different temperatures you feel as you breathe. And getting to know our breath this way in a calm state allows us to recognize when our breath has changed, maybe because we start getting upset. And the sooner we can recognize that, the sooner we have a chance to take action, to slow the breath down again and to calm ourselves down again. Just this gentle practice of breath awareness, knowing what's going on. Holding on to your nice, slow, deep, full Ujjayi victorious breath. Take a moment to run your awareness through the whole rest of your body, just checking in here, noticing any sore spots, any injuries, any areas that you want to pay special attention to today, or anything that might change your abilities to come into a pose. Every day our body is different, so this little check-in allows us to be really aware of our body's needs during this practice. And once you've gone through your whole body, returning to the breath, take a couple big, full, deep breaths here, just being inside of your body. Blinking the eyes open. Let's come into a forward fold. Big breath in, sweeping the hands up overhead, stretching the spine up tall. And on the exhale, releasing the fingers down to the ground. Try to keep your spine really long as you crawl your fingertips forward, hinging from the hips. Only going down as far as you feel comfortable today. And once you find your edge, rounding out the back and relaxing your forehead down towards the ground. You can keep your elbows up off the ground and tent your fingers, or you can just let your arms relax. And on your next inhale, slowly lifting back up to a seat. Release the hands down to the lap. And let's warm up our necks. We can just start by gently moving the head back and forth. And if you like, you can even include the spine in this movement a little bit as you lean your head back, arching your spine a little. And on the exhale, letting your spine curl back. Coming back up to neutral. Let's try just moving our head side to side. So you'll notice that both of the sides feel a little bit different. Maybe you feel like you can go down a little farther on one side than the other. This is totally normal. And if you like here, you can turn that into a big circle, dropping the chin down towards the chest, and then leaning the head back along the neck. Notice any sounds that might be coming from your neck, little crackling sounds there. It's totally normal. And then let's turn our head the other way. Notice if there's any new sounds, or maybe those sounds go away. I know my neck only makes those funny crackly sounds in one direction, then the other way it doesn't. It's just how it goes. Bringing the head back up to neutral, coming into a side stretch. We're going to bring our hands up overhead. And then as your hands are up overhead, interlace your fingers and turn your palms so they're facing up to the sky. Take a big breath in. Exhale, leaning down towards one side. Back up to center, breathing in. And down towards the other side as you breathe out. Go a couple more times, just going with your breath. You can hold on to your Ujjayi breath here if that feels right. Big breath in, come back up. Exhale, release. You can give your hands a little wiggle. Sometimes keeping them up in the air feels like your blood is all coming out of the hands. And let's do a couple little wrist exercises here. We use our hands all the time for so many things. They're one of the most important, useful parts of our body. We can manipulate more things with our fingers than with any other part of our body. So it's good to give them a little love and attention sometimes. These wrist exercises help to work out, especially if you tend to get carpal tunnel. These can be really good for that. Any soreness in the wrist from doing those activities that you're just doing repetitive sort of things. We're going to hold one hand out, palm facing up, and then let your fingers drop down towards the ground so your palm is facing out, fingers pointing down, and then with your other hand, keeping that arm nice and strong, other hand just gently pulls the fingers back. Try to keep your arm here perpendicular to your body. Really gently, not enough so that it hurts, just a little stretch there. And then let's release. We're going to keep the fingers down, turn the hand around so the back of the hand is facing out. And again, pull that hand back. You can move side to side, a little bit of movement there. And let's try one more release. Turn your hand so the fingers are pointing up, palm facing out. Again, pulling that hand back. You can move it around, keeping that arm nice and straight, and then release. Give your arm a rest, let the blood flow back into it. You can shake it out a little, do some circles with the wrist. And we'll try the other side. Other hand comes up. Keep that arm straight out from your body. Fingers pointing down, palm facing out. Pulling the fingers back here. Just getting a little stretch in that wrist. Getting the blood flowing through the wrist and the fingers. And then release. Fingers still pointing down. This time the back of our hand is facing out. Pull that hand back, making sure to keep that arm nice and straight. And last one, palm facing out, fingers pointing up, pulling the fingers back. Keep that arm nice and straight. And then release. Give it a little wiggle. Get the blood flowing back through the arm. Give your wrist a couple turns one way and the other. And then you can do both hands, little wiggle. Get your shoulders into it. And make your way back to a nice calm seat. And let's switch our legs. Front leg coming to the back leg going out in front. Once again, folding over the feet. Pay attention here. See if you notice any changes in how the body feels when you're folded one way versus the other, with the legs crossed the two different ways. Breathing in, hands come up. Exhale, pulling the hands through heart center, releasing the fingertips down to the ground. Trying to keep your spine really long as you walk your fingers out. And once you find your edge, however far down you want to go, rounding out the back, relaxing the forehead down. If it feels good, keep your fingers tented and the arms outstretched. Or if it feels nice to release the elbows, you can do that too, just resting your arms on the ground. On your next breath in, lifting back up to a seat, floating the hands all the way up overhead. Exhale into a twist. One hand comes behind us, other hand crossing over the opposite knee, or just resting on the ground in front of you. Big breath in to sit up tall. Breathing out, twisting deeply. Inhale, come out of your twist just a little bit, lengthen the spine. And as you breathe out, deepening into the twist again, bending the elbows and peeking over the back shoulder. Release the hands, come back to center, float the hands up overhead, stretch your spine up nice and tall. Exhale, twisting around the other way. Other hand comes behind. This hand can be crossing over the knee or resting on the ground in front of you. Deep breath in to sit up tall. On the breath out, going deeper into the twist. One more time. Lengthen the spine, breathing in. Exhale, twisting deeper. Release the hands, come back to center, float your hands up overhead. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Let's make our way to hands and knees, tabletop. Plant the hands, roll over the knees, or swing the legs around to one side. And then take some time to set yourself up here, bringing the knees right underneath the hips, nice straight line from the hips down to the knees, and the shoulders coming right over the wrists, putting some space between the fingers, and keeping the knuckles off the mat. Just a tiny bend in the knuckles, really to help support you, pushing down through the pads at the ends of the fingers and the curve at the bottom of the palm. It should almost feel like you're gripping the mat here. And then let's lift one leg up, bringing that leg parallel to the ground, pushing through the sole of the foot, like you're stamping it into a wall behind you. Maybe the opposite arm comes up as well. Take a big breath in here. And exhale, release, hand and knee back to the mat, switching sides, other leg comes up. Push through the sole of the foot like you're stamping it into a wall behind you. And maybe the opposite arm comes up as well. Big breath in, stretch it out. Exhale, release, keep going, finding your own rhythm at the pace of your breath. Inhale, lift and stretch. On your breath out, releasing with control, coming back down, switching sides, big breath in, lift and stretch. Exhale, release. You can go faster or slower than me. Just listening to your breath, letting the pace of your breath dictate the speed of your movement. This is a really good time to practice that ujjayi breath, making a nice loud sound in the back of your throat really helps to keep you in time with the breath, allowing you to listen each time you take a breath in, each time you take a breath out. Make sure you do both sides evenly. And then coming back to hands and knees tabletop, we can put some space between the knees. Here we're going to make our way into child's pose, bringing the big toes together to touch, but not overlapping. And then pushing the hips back towards the heels. They don't need to touch. We're just resting our upper legs on our lower legs here. And relaxing the forehead down towards the ground, letting the elbows come down to the mat. Forward folds can be very calming to the nervous system, and especially child's pose. Child's pose can feel very, very calming to the body. It's a really good pose to come in if you're feeling stressed out in the moment. Just to come into child's pose and take a couple deep breaths here helps you recenter and ground yourself. On your next breath in, lifting your chest back up to tabletop. Let's do a little toe stretch. Tucking the toes under. We're going to start to push our hips back to our heels so you can keep your hands on the ground and just find some gentle movement here, pushing the hips back into the heels to really get that nice stretch on the bottoms of the feet and the toes. And if your feet really want an intense stretch today, you want to go deeper, you can sit all the way up, keeping your hands off the ground. If your toes are like mine, that baby toe likes to go back the other way, you can reach back and pull it forward. Just getting a nice stretch in the bottoms of all the muscles on the bottoms of your feet. And let's release, planting the hands back on the mat. Untuck the toes, tap the tops of the feet on the ground, shake it all out. And make your way all the way up to standing. Take a moment here to wiggle out your legs, readjust your clothing so you feel good. And let's come into mountain pose. Big toes together to touch with some space between the heels, or feet on two different train tracks. There's no right or wrong, whichever one feels better to you. We can bring our palms by our sides, some action into the hands, palms facing forward, shoulders pushing down the back. And then bring awareness to your feet, even peeking down at the feet. Just pay attention to what you're doing. Lift your toes up, spread them out, and set them all down again, and then rock back and forth. Here we're waking up all the nerve endings on the bottoms of the feet and noticing how our weight is distributed on our feet. Which areas of the feet feel nice and strong as we put our weight on them? Which areas do we notice don't have so much weight, maybe under the arches or under the pockets under the toes? And then find some stillness there, rooting down through the feet, lifting up on the spine. Imagine a string pulling the top of your head up to the sky, pulling you nice and tall. Warrior sequence. Let's make our way to Warrior 2. If you like, you can have your hands on your hips to set up your feet. We're going to bring one foot forward, toes pointing towards the short end of the mat. And this other foot, you can start to scoot it back, toes pointing towards the long end of the mat so our feet are perpendicular with the front heel lining up with the center of the back foot or the back heel. And then check on your spine. Sometimes in Warrior Two, we have a tendency to lean over that front leg, but we want to make sure that our spine is centered right above the hips. Nice and tall there. Front knee has a nice deep bend in it, right over the ankle or a little behind. And the arms can come up, making sure that back hand is nice and high. Bringing the gaze right to the front middle finger. Let's move with the breath. Yoga jumping jacks. Inhale, straightening out the front knee. Bring the hands up overhead. Exhale, bending the knee and lowering back down to Warrior Two. Once again, no need to stay with me, just moving at the pace of your own breath. Trying to listen to your breath here. Tapping into that Ujjayi breath can really help bring your breath right to the top of your awareness. If any of those other thoughts start to come back, just tell them not now. Right now, it's time for my breath. One last time, up and down. With your breath, making your way back to Warrior Two. Take a deep breath in here. As you breathe out, cartwheel the hands down to frame the front foot and come up onto the back toes, lifting your back heel, and then planting whichever hand is opposite the front foot. So I've got my right foot forward, my left hand on the ground. You can keep your back knee lifted or you can drop it down. And on an inhale, lift your opposite arm up, stretching the fingers to the sky. So we're twisting to the side here, trying to bring our arms as close as you can comfortably come to being perpendicular to the ground. If your back knee is lifted, stay really active in that back leg. Take one more big breath in here. Exhale, release, dropping that hand back down to the ground. Look forward, take a big breath in. You can come up onto your fingertips here. On the exhale, step your back foot up to your front. Come into a forward fold. Knees can be bent just a little bit. Inhale, rise to standing, bend the knees, unroll the spine, and then float your hands all the way up overhead. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Take a big breath in here. And release, hands come down to your sides. Let's try the other side. Other toes pointing towards the short end of the mat. This back foot stretching out, opening our stance. Back toes pointing towards the long end of the mat. Front knee right over the ankle. Spine centered right above the hips. And then bring the arms up. Checking on the back hand, making sure it's nice and high. And bringing the gaze right to the front middle finger. Moving with the breath. Inhale, knee straight, hands up overhead. Exhale, bending the knee, lowering back down. Keep going, really listening to your breath here. Remember that we are all breathing at our own rate. We're each breathing inside of our own body, so it only makes sense that each of us would be breathing at a slightly different rate. And you really just want to tap into that breath rate and move at your own pace, letting your breath be your guide. Last one, up and down with the breath. Take a big breath in Warrior Two. As you breathe out, cartwheeling the hands down, framing the front foot. Opposite hand is planted right next to the front foot. Inhale, other arm high, stretching the fingers up to the sky. Back knee can be up or drop it down to the mat. If it's up, really stay active in that back leg, all the way up to the hip. One last big breath in here. And release, dropping that hand down to the ground. You can come up onto your fingertips. Look forward, take a deep breath in. On the breath out, stepping the back foot up to the front. Forward fold, knees can be bent just a little bit. Inhale, rising to standing with a bend in the knees, unrolling the spine and floating the hands all the way up. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Big breath in here. On the breath out, release. Hands by your sides. Take a little break here. Coming all the way down to a seat. Here's an opportunity to do a little breath check-in. So we established a baseline at the very beginning of our flow, really noticing all the different qualities of the breath. Take a moment here to close your eyes. If it feels right to you, you can bring one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly so that you can really, really connect to the breath, feeling your body moving with the breath underneath your fingertips and the palms of your hands. And see if there's any new qualities of the breath that are standing out to you now. After all that movement, I know that my breath rate has gone up a little bit. I feel my heart rate has gone up a little bit. Really feeling all the blood moving through my body. Perhaps you feel an increased warmth in the body after that movement. Come back to your Ujjayi breath, your victorious breath, constricting the throat. Breathing in out of the nose, and with every breath, imagining all of that breath on your exhale is a powerful wind blowing all of the intrusive thoughts right out of your mind. So if you notice them, just blow them away with each exhale. Feel your breath slowing back down again with this nice rest here. When you feel ready, releasing the hands down to the lap. Blinking the eyes open. Let's make our way back up to standing, and we'll do some balancing poses. Little balancing sequence here. Starting with a regular chair pose, two-legged chair pose. We often do a one-legged chair pose. Today we're going to do a two-legged chair pose. Feet can be together, big toes touching, some space between the heels, or we can have our feet on two different train tracks. Again, either one is fine. It's just about personal preference here. Breathing in, lifting the hands up. And exhale, sitting down into the chair, bending the knees, bending the hips, bringing the torso forward just a little bit to help with the balance. And then lifting up on the spine, bringing the arms up a little bit. Hold on to your breath here. This is one of those poses where you might feel your body start to shake. So I was taught that that's your body working out all the old stress hormones that have gotten pent up in your system. Here you're giving them a chance to be released from your muscles. One last big breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Push the knees back towards straight. Relax the upper body down. Bringing weight to the fingertips. Start to heel to your feet out nice and wide. And then reach your hands out and grab onto opposite elbows. Ragdoll pose, gently rocking side to side here. Bending one knee at a time. Getting a little swaying motion. And imagine you feel all the kinks just falling right out of your spine. Feel your spine realign. And then release, dropping the fingers to the mat. Heel toe the feet back together. Bend the knees. Inhale to standing. Unrolling the spine. Exhale. Mountain pose. Okay. Starting with tree pose here. We're going to put our balancing poses together and see how far we can go through our balancing sequence just on one foot. Now, if at any point you feel like you want to drop that other foot down, that's totally cool. If you want to find a wall, just go over to a wall, put your hand against the wall. You can do that. Little extra added security. And we'll start by bringing all weight to one leg. Other knee is pointing straight out towards the side. You can keep your toes on the ground, sole the foot on the ankle, lift it up so the heel comes under the knee, or come all the way up above the knee on the thigh. There's no right or wrong here, just personal preference. Checking on your standing hip, I have my little mic transmitter here, so it looks like my hip is sticking out, but you want to really make sure you're not slouching that hip out to the side, tucking it in nice and tall. Spine stretching up nice and tall. And if you like here, you can include your arms. Anywhere the arms want to be is fine. I like to bring my fingertips together. You could bring the palms to touch. You can have your arms straight out in either direction. Hold onto your breath. See if you're still holding onto your nice, strong Ujjayi, victorious breath. If not, here's an opportunity to come back to that breath. One last deep breath in. Exhale, release, and shake it out. Oh, I said we were going to do all of them at the same time, and then I forgot. Okay, well, we'll do it next. We'll try again with tree pose on the other side. All weight coming to the other leg, this knee pointing straight out to the side, toes on the ground, sole of the foot on the ankle, heel under the knee, or all the way up on the thigh. It's okay to choose a different foot placement option on this side. Whatever it is that your body needs, checking in on that standing hip, making sure you're not slouching the hip out to the side. And then bring the arms up if you like. You can also always keep your hands at heart center or just set the hands on the hips to focus on the legs. Holding onto your breath. One last deep breath in. Exhale, shaking it all out. Okay, now let's put some poses together. Starting by bringing all weight to one leg, we're just going to lift the other knee up, interlace the fingers outside of the knee. Lifting up on your spine. And then if you like here, you can start to open out towards the side, just keeping that one hand on the knee, stretching that upper arm out to the side for a little counterbalance. One last big breath in here. On the exhale, bring the upper leg, ankle to cross over the opposite knee, making a figure four with your legs. Bring the hands to heart center and start to sit low in your chair. Flexing these toes helps protect the knee, leaning forward. Shifting your weight forward helps a little with the balance. Maybe your elbows drop down to that upper leg, or maybe not. On your next breath in, rising up, lift your knee up, arms overhead. Exhale, warrior three, hinge forward from the hips, send that foot straight out behind you and bring your arms out wide like airplane wings. So everything here is reaching towards being parallel to the ground except for that standing leg, but it's okay if it's not perfect. Just moving in that direction. On your next breath in, rising up, lift the knee up, arms overhead. And shake it out. Little standing break here. Feet hip width distance apart. Rest your hands on your upper legs. No need to find stillness here. You can gently rock side to side or back and forth. Close your eyes and send all of your awareness into your legs. Noticing how the two legs feel different here. This is one of the things we can do to raise our body awareness, is to just send our attention into these different body parts right after we've used them. Just gathering little notes about what it is that's happening inside of our body. Maybe where you feel warmth or coolness. Which muscles feel like they were really just working hard. Which muscles in the legs still feel rested? How those two legs compare to each other. Maybe your upper leg feels really tired on one side, but fully rested on the other. Maybe you're feeling it in the lower leg or one of your feet. Whatever it is, we're just gathering information here, raising our awareness of what it is that's happening inside of our bodies as we move through these challenging poses. Coming back to center, blinking your eyes open. Let's try the other side. All weight comes to the other leg, lifting the opposite knee up. Interlace the fingers outside of the knee, standing up nice and tall, tucking in that standing hip. And if you like, releasing one arm out to the side, opening up the knee towards the side. One more breath in. As you breathe out, bring that foot ankle to cross over the opposite knee. Hands come to heart center and sitting low in the chair, bending at the hips, bending the knee, lowering down. Maybe the elbows drop down to the upper leg, or maybe you're still up here. On your next breath in, rising up, lifting the knee up, arms overhead. Exhale, warrior three, bending from the hips. Pushing that foot out behind you, arms come out wide like airplane wings. See if you can remember back to how this pose felt on the other side and see if you notice any changes here, one side to the other. Inhale, coming back up, lift the knee up and the arms high. And exhale, release. Shake it all out. If you're like me, your breath rate has risen a little bit. You can check in with that. Just a little breath check in, and then close your eyes. Rest your hands on your upper legs. No need to find stillness. You can rock back and forth, side to side. Sending awareness into the legs. Seeing what it is that you notice happening there. Just looking with curiosity, with our mind's eye, curiously. Just gathering information. No judgment here. There's no right or wrong. We just want to know, what is it that happens in the legs when we come into those poses? How do they feel afterwards? And how are they different from each other? Take a moment to check in with your breath, comparing your breath now to how it felt at the very beginning of our flow. Maybe comparing it to how it felt during our last breath check-in as well. And blink the eyes open, back into ragdoll pose, feet hip width distance apart. Breathing in to come up. Exhale, bending the knees, hinging from the hips, diving forward, reaching out and grabbing for opposite elbows, crossing our arms the awkward way. Gently rock side to side by bending one knee at a time. And then release your fingertips down to the mat, bringing weight to the fingers, heel, toe the feet back together, bend the knees, inhale to standing, take your time coming up. Exhale, mountain pose. All right, let's make our way all the way down to a seat for our cool down here. We'll start by coming into boat pose, pointing the knees up to the sky, clasping the hands outside of the knees and focusing on the spine. Sit up really straight and tall, pushing the shoulders down the back. Activate your core. It takes lots of core strength to keep the upper body where it is when you release your hands. So get ready for that. And then if you want to go deeper, try and release your hands, keeping the upper body where it is. Tuck your fingers in the creases of both knees. And maybe you want to lift your feet up. A little bit more of a challenge there. Maybe you want to open up your arms. And maybe you want to do some boat sit-ups. Really good core strengthener. Inhale, opening up, straightening out the legs. Don't touch the ground. Exhale back into boat. Let's try 2 more with the breath. Last one. And then release. Drop the feet to the mat. Put some space between the feet. Hands come behind us. Fingers pointing towards the hips. Lean back onto your hands. And then gently rock the knees side to side, releasing the hips. And come back to center, butterfly pose or bound angle. Soles of the feet come together, knees open out wide to the sides. Feet can be farther away, or you can bring them in a little bit closer. Interlacing the fingers, we could tuck them underneath the toes. Take a big breath in and sit up tall. As you breathe out, hinging forward from the hips. If you like, you can shift your fingers here so they go on the outside of the toes. Open up our elbows to push your knees down. And relax your upper body down over your feet. I think it's called cobbler's pose because you end up smelling your feet if you come deep enough into the pose. And on a breath in, walk the hands back, lift up the chest. Let's release our hips one more time. Bring the knees up, put some space between the feet. Hands come behind and gently rock the knees side to side. Coming all the way down onto our backs here. Cannonball pose, draw the knees to the chest, wrap both arms around the legs, take a deep breath in. Exhale, forehead comes to the knees, curling tight into a ball, squeezing everything together. And then release your head down to the mat. Bring your hands to your kneecaps. Do some gentle circles here with the knees. Giving your lower back a little massage against the ground. And then find circles going the other way. Coming back to center. Inhale, release your hands up overhead. Stretch your legs out long. Big good morning stretch as long as you can. And as you begin to breathe out on your next exhale, draw the knees to the chest, wrap the arms around the legs, come back into cannonball, lifting the forehead up the knees, squeezing everything tight. Let's do that a couple more times with the breath. Inhale, just stretch your body out long, making room for the lungs to expand. And as you breathe out, curling back into a ball, making use of that extra space you're creating as you're emptying out your lungs. One more time, just going with your breath. Inhale to stretch it out. And exhale to curl back up into a ball. Releasing your head back down to the mat. Bring your arms out wide in a T, or you can goal post the arms if you don't have quite enough space, and then float your legs in an imaginary tabletop 90-degree angle in the knees and hips. Take a big breath in here. On the exhale, dropping the knees down all the way to the ground to one side, trying to keep a 90-degree angle in the knees and hips, but it's okay if it's not perfect. And then you can tuck those fingertips on the same side in the crease at the top knee and turn the head over to the opposite hand to complete your twist. Switching sides, release that top hand back out to the side if it's tucked in your knee. Inhale, lifting the legs to center. And exhale, dropping them down to the other side, all the way to the ground. Fingertips tucking in the crease of the top knee if that feels nice. And the gaze turning over to the opposite hand to complete your twist. Releasing the top end back out to the side. Lift your legs up to center on a breath in. Exhale, let your legs come all the way down to the mat for our final ending meditation. This meditation is usually done on the back. So if that feels good, you can make your way to whatever comfortable laying down position you find. If it's not comfortable to be on your back, you can also take this meditation on your belly or in a seat, just wherever you will be the most comfortable. Bringing your chin into your chest, rock your head side to side, and then let your head fall back to its natural center resting point. Hands can be by your sides, palms facing up or down, or you could bring your hands to your belly to feel your breath. Release your body. We're not holding any muscles anymore. Just letting ourselves relax as much as we can. Feel the ground underneath you, a full plane of support. You can just let yourself relax right into the ground. It's not going anywhere. Release your breath, returning back to natural breathing. And release your mind. Just watch your thoughts come and go like a birdie tweeting away in a tree. You see him and then he flies away and disappears to be replaced by something new. Find a few moments of stillness to complete your practice today. Blink your eyes open. Start to make your way back up to a seat. We'll just do a couple last poses here to shake our yoga fog. Making your way into easy pose, coming into a forward fold. Breathing in to lift the hands up. And exhale, folding over the feet, nice and slow. Finding your own edge and then relaxing down into the fold. On your next inhale, rising back up to a seat, floating the hands all the way up. Exhale, side stretch. This time we're going to bring one hand down to the ground, opposite arm arcing overhead, maybe bending, straightening that elbow. Next inhale, coming back up. And exhale down the other way. On a breath in, rise back up to center. Exhale, release, hands in the lap. Thank you all so much for joining me today for yoga. I will see you all next week at 11:30. I'm so